Tonight, foreign violence, local cost. The price of gas rising quickly, a direct result of American aggression in the Middle East. Plus, rec center repairs.
It's not great news in that we are not going to have our pool for the summer. It is good news in that a permanent fix is coming.
The latest setback for the East Lyons Community Center. And smash and grab, a championship.
It was such a thrill, adrenaline rush and everything.
The local volleyball final that turned into a match to remember.
CTV News with Carlyle Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with rising gas prices across the region, a direct impact of the rising violence in the Middle East. And as Sean Irvin reports, the increase was expected, just not this soon.
Krista Lockyer already has gas price fatigue.
Actually, it's funny because as soon as I was driving in, I was kind of like that, feeling like, really, it started already?
Indeed, it has. In the wake of the conflict between the United States, Israel, and Iran, prices rose overnight. By midday, the price of regular gas at stations in the London area hit as high as $1.44 a litre. Diesel climbed far higher. Bottom line, even compact car drivers are feeling the pinch.
I would say it's been like at least 25 cents a litre, which is a lot.
The uncertainty of the conflict is a stress on consumers, but it's also one for experts who are having a hard time predicting just how high prices might go. Throughout the course of this week, experts have weighed in with CTV News.
It's a very difficult situation. We haven't seen this since the 70s.
And there are so many potential scenarios in a war footing that could happen, which could move prices back and forth when it comes to crude oil and wholesale gasoline prices.
Roger McKnight, an Enpro gas analyst, has said that if the price of a barrel of oil rises to $80, the price at the pump will jump by 8 cents. If it hits $100, the price you pay will rise by 20 cents. That is an unsettling fact, whether you're a Londoner on a budget or not.
People don't have nearly as much money as they used to. Always filling up gas, depending on what price, could be a struggle for some people.
And with reasons for the price increase out of the control of Londoners, most have little choice but to pay up.
I mean, there's not really a lot that we can do, that's for sure. Just praying.
Praying that
things will change, that there will be changes in this world, things will settle down.
In London, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
U.S. authorities have closed several embassies in the Middle East amid Iranian retaliation strikes. American and Canadian officials are telling citizens to find a way out of the region as soon as they can. On top of that, the Iranians have also hit Turkey, a NATO member. With more on the response, here's Adrian Gobriel.
Pulled from the waters along the southern coast of Turkey, this is the remains of a NATO interceptor missile that knocked an Iranian attack out of the sky. Turkey's President Tayyip Erdogan saying his country is in close consultation with NATO allies while warning Iran a similar incident cannot occur again. In Iran, thunderous explosions echoed across the besieged nation as Israeli forces confirm they've begun a 10th wave of strikes, with U.S. forces hitting deeper into the country. In the 5 days since this war broke out, more than 1,000 people have been killed in Iran, according to a U.S.-based human rights organization. In Lebanon, smoldering debris sends smoke billowing into the sky in Beirut, where the IDF has vowed to uproot Iranian-backed Hezbollah after it launched strikes into Israel.
The numbers are increasing. We have more than 80,000 people, including 24,000 children, forcibly displaced in Lebanon. Many were still displaced since the previous escalation.
This video shared by the U.S. Department of Defense showing the moment a U.S. submarine sank an Iranian warship. The bodies of some 80 sailors reported dead at sea, located by rescuers along the southern coast of Sri Lanka. With 3 other NATO nations, Greece, Britain, and France, sending naval and Air Force personnel to Cyprus following Iranian drone attacks there, this expanding conflict has reached new shores. more than 100,000 Canadian citizens and permanent residents in the Middle East have registered with Global Affairs Canada. CTV News visited the Canadian consulate in Istanbul to try and ask questions on behalf of Canadians stuck in the midst of this conflict. Passport in hand, security inside this building refused to allow us to enter the consulate. Our request to interview Canada's ambassador to Turkey was also denied.
This is Adrian Gober with CTV National News.
One official speaking on background tells CTV News that a range of options are being looked at to help evacuate Canadians by land and air, while assisting those in Iran remains the most difficult, without an embassy inside that country. With war on the horizon, a sunset call to prayer preaches peace in a region and a world where tonight it's in very short supply.
The attempted missile strike here in Turkey makes this the 11th country targeted by Iran since this war began. Adrian Gober, CTV News, Istanbul.
And for the more than 100,000 Canadians in the region, there appears to be no easy path to get them back to Canada, with no charter flights announced. With more on the options that are available, here's Annie Bergeron-Oliver.
For the last 6 weeks, Glenn Williams traveled the world. He thought his layover in Kuwait, a country he had never visited, would only be for a few days. Then the conflict began, and instead of flying home Sunday, he found himself stranded.
We do hear the sirens a lot during the day, but I mean, it's overall fairly calm. I can't say it's been crazy. I think the biggest part is just like the unknown. We're not sure when the airspace will reopen.
Williams is one of more than 103,000 Canadians currently registered in the region. Global Affairs Canada is not currently offering assisted departures, but the department says it is working on a range of options to support the potential departure of Canadians from several countries in the Middle East.
I am on the phone night and day with my counterparts in the region to ensure that we are providing the utmost support for Canadians in need.
While no evacuation flights are currently planned, Ottawa says it has asked Oman to use their airspace if necessary. Israel has arranged buses to a border crossing with Egypt where commercial planes are still flying. And in Lebanon, seats have been secured for Canadians on certain commercial flights.
Publicly, we may not say much, but behind the scenes, I think there is some conversation going on about potential exit avenues.
With experts saying it will likely be some time before flights resume.
It would be nice to get back home.
Canadians like Williams are trying to stay patient while they wait for news from the airlines or from the government.
Seems like the Canadian government, not in any bad way, but has said, kind of fend for yourselves and hunker down.
But it's not just Canadian travelers in the Middle East who are impacted. It's Canadians around the world who had layovers in the region canceled indefinitely. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
Good evening, I'm Rita Ismail. A gorgeous Wednesday, very spring-like right across the region. Our temperature well above what's normal this time of year, and that's all thanks to a ridge of high pressure. As you can see here, we were in the clear, but we are tracking the next weather maker. It is going to gradually push through, and it's coming in from the south. With that, we'll have our temperatures actually bump up for the next couple of days, and we'll be in and out of showers. Coming up a little later in the show, I'll walk you through the next 48 hours and tell you just how warm it's going to get this weekend. Carlyle?
Thank you, Rita. Provincial police say heavy fog was at least partly to blame for a serious school bus crash in Huron County this morning. Scott Miller has more on the outcome and the investigation.
A severely damaged school bus is towed from the scene just a few hours after being T-boned by a tractor trailer just north of Seaforth this morning.
A tractor trailer hit the bus about midway up the frame and spun the bus right around. So all three occupants of the bus were injured, thankfully with minor injuries. They've been treated locally at the Seaforth Hospital. The driver of the truck received minor injuries as well.
The collision happened shortly after 8 o'clock this morning after police say the school bus entered the intersection of North Line and Summerhill Road. There were only 2 high school students on the bus at the time of the collision, which closed a section of North Line for the entire morning.
I understand the collision happened just after 8 a.m., so that may have been at the start of the pickup route. But yes, if the school was full of children on board, I did see earlier some of the windows had blown out of the side of the school bus here. So glass, just the fact the impact itself would have been quite a violent impact. So this could have been much worse. Bad enough, but yes.
It was extremely foggy at the time of the crash, say police, canceling several, but not all school buses in Huron County.
This could have been a lot worse. We do know that fog was a factor at the time. There was thick fog in the area, so that'll be taken a look at as well.
This isn't the only school bus-involved collision or crash this month in our region. A school bus carrying 40 children careened into a ditch near Woodstock 2 weeks ago. That, along with more drivers running school bus stop signs, has prompted a school bus safety blitz by the West Region OPP this week.
We've noted, I think, in excess of 30 school bus-related collisions in the last few months in our region alone. And it's just so much damage and potential for injury here, and we just have to do something about it. So the OPP is going to be out there keeping an eye.
Police say no charges have been laid as a result of the collision this morning, as of yet. A collision that most certainly could have been worse, potentially fatal. Near Winthrop, Scott Miller, CTV News.
2 people were taken to hospital after a late morning collision in South London. The crash happened at Southdale and White Oaks Road around 10:30 a.m. There was extensive front-end damage to a sedan, while an SUV had both passenger side doors caved in. Emergency responders said the 2 patients were taken to hospital as a precaution, and they don't believe their injuries are serious. The pool at the East Lyons Community Centre will be closed this summer for major repairs. City staff say it's a 3-month project replacing windows, the latest in a long list of setbacks for the facility that's just 4 years old. Brian Bicknell reports.
It's a place to come and cool off, but pool users at East Lyons will have to find somewhere else to take a dip this summer.
It's disappointing. You know, the summer's coming. That's when people want to use it the most, even though it is indoors. It's still a pool to cool off.
It's very important to the community, like for kids for swimming lessons. I mean, a lot of parents will do that over the summer with their kids.
The city says it has to close East Lyons indoor pool from July 2nd until the end of September to replace the pool windows. The work will address previous damage and improve on design. Ward Councillor and Deputy Mayor Sean Lewis says it is not ideal, but it's got to be done.
It's not great news in that we are not going to have our pool for the summer. We'll be closing after Canada Day, but it is good news in that a permanent fix is coming, and we're going to do this during the summer while our other outdoor pools, Stronach, Silverwoods, are open so that people have other options.
They're supposed to let in the sunlight into the pool area, but for the time being, nearly half the windows along the west side of the building along the pool have been boarded up with a mural painted over top. It will stay this way until it's time to get the work done. The 4-year-old, $21 million community center has been beset with problems since its groundbreaking in 2017. Labor disputes and the firing of the original contractor led to delayed openings. In February 2023, part of the roof collapsed, and later that year, vandals destroyed windows. In 2024, the city found water damage in the ceiling, and last fall, a hydro transformer malfunctioned, causing a power outage. Meantime, a lawsuit from the city against the builder and architect is ongoing.
Our team and the bonding company's team are still working on it, and that's really all I can say about it right now, is that it's an ongoing process.
It's been one thing after another with this center. It's unfortunate.
This center has been, kind of jinxed.
The city says this spring it will offer passes to pool users at East Lyons to access other city pools. Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
An apartment fire broke out this morning just west of downtown. Fire crews say they were responding to a kitchen fire in an apartment on Riverside Drive near Murdoch Street. They say there was heavy smoke inside and 2 patients were treated at the scene for smoke inhalation. According to firefighters, the building was evacuated and the flames were brought under control quickly. An Old East Village apartment complex was evacuated last night for an electrical fire. The building is located near Dundas and Hewitt Street. Firefighters say tenants reported smoke and a burning smell last night around 9 p.m. They say the flames ignited in a basement unit and they were able to limit the damage by disconnecting the power. No injuries were reported there either. One of the 4 suspects in the Chesham Place weapons investigation has been granted bail. With more on his release conditions and where the case goes from here, here's Nick Paparella.
As he stood in the prisoner's box, 26-year-old Zaykoon Wang could be seen wiping away tears. After a bail hearing last week, Justice of the Peace Christine Diaz approved his release from custody with strict conditions. The master's student came from China in 2012 to study at Western, and among his bail conditions, he and his parents had to surrender their passports. He will be under house arrest at his parents' home in Richmond Hill with a GPS ankle monitor. He and his family are pledging a total of $410,000, and he's not allowed to be on a cell phone or a computer, with the Justice of the Peace saying the blanket order is that you are not to access the internet. Facts surrounding the case were read out in court, but a ban on publication prevents us from disclosing the details. Wang and 3 others were charged after police searched a home on Chesham Place in North London following a break-in at Western University. All 4 face a rash of explosives and weapons-related offenses, including manufacturing firearms and possession of explosives. Wang's lawyer is Nick Cake.
He's happy to be released. He's happy to be back with his parents, going back home where we can now start planning for the next steps. But he's happy that this evening he will not be in a cage.
In another courtroom, co-accused 25-year-old Fei Han made a brief appearance after his bail was denied last month. He is expected back in court on Friday. Meanwhile, the other 2 charged, 27-year-old Jerry Tong and 21-year-old Astrid G, have appearances later in March. Wang's next court date is slated for April 23rd.
We are going to start moving the case forward. There are a number of items that we're still waiting for by way of disclosure. We need to start reviewing the circumstances and come up with a game plan as to how we're going to attack these charges.
Nick Paparella, CTV News.
A letter from City Councillor Susan Stevenson to her colleagues was heavily redacted on this week's council agenda. With more on the letter's subject matter and why the public might be restricted from viewing its contents, here's Daryl Newcomb.
Why it had to be so heavily redacted.
Councillor Susan Stevenson shocked that only 2 sentences of her letter to council colleagues remained unredacted on the public agenda of this week's council meeting. She tells CTV News the letter explained that the Integrity Commissioner dismissed 2 complaints that she violated the Code of Conduct. Those complaints had received widespread attention in the news and on social media, but the Integrity Commissioner decided they didn't warrant a full investigation. So she feels her exoneration letters should become part of the public record.
I had received reports vindicating me completely on 2 very critical and important complaints, and I received letters from the Integrity Commissioner that are in no way marked confidential. So I believed that it was okay for me to choose to share those on the public agenda.
It's not unusual to see small redactions on a public agenda at City Hall. Typically, it's contact information of a member of the public who has submitted an email or a letter. However, such an extensive redaction of a city councillor's letter is definitely unusual. City Hall's 1-sentence response to CTV News is simply, quote, "The documents that were sought to be added to the council agenda were not in the corporation's possession and not part of the public record." Political scientist Dr. Andrew Sankton tells CTV News.
If they're going to post the results of investigations that have been conducted, I don't see why they couldn't also post a notification saying that there were these kinds of complaints, but they were dismissed without an investigation.
Sankton adds that posting the document on the city website might not actually achieve what the councillor is seeking.
I would think people actually might be more likely to look at CTV News website than City of London website for stuff like this.
Stevenson acknowledges trying to work with city staff on the language of her letter and consented to having them redact what they felt was necessary, but didn't expect just 2 sentences to remain.
If you receive a letter saying that there's no finding against you, and I'm not even allowed to share it on the public agenda at council, then it makes it very difficult to, quite frankly, clear my name.
Stevenson has yet to decide if she'll publish the unredacted letter on her social media. Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
When we come back, it's the Tee Up with Brent Lail. The Provincial High School Basketball Championships are coming to London, and the hosts are hoping for a podium finish.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We begin tonight with Ontario's
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVLondon.ca, your home for news.
Tee Up with Brent Lale is brought to you by Event Connect.
Welcome back. It's the Tee Up with Brent Lale. And Brent, it's the final week of the regular season in the Greater Ontario Hockey League. You're tracking some important matchups locally tonight.
Yeah, we'll start with the London Nationals, who are at the Western Fair. They host Strathroy tonight, Carlyle. The Nats have moved into fourth with 2 games left. Hey, they're looking to clinch home ice advantage. Meanwhile, in St. Thomas, the Stars are holding on to a 1-point lead for the final playoff spot. They host St. Mary's tonight.
Our goal at the very beginning of the year was to make the playoffs, and we have our fate in our own hands here, and hopefully we can get it done. And it mean a lot to the organization, I think a lot to the city, and just the playoff experience for this young group. It would be huge.
That puck drops at 7:30. Meanwhile, the London Knights are just moments away from puck drop at Canada Life Place. It's a rare Wednesday home game against the Guelph Storm. With 8 games left in the regular season, the Knights are 3 points back of the Sioux for home ice advantage.
The Olympics wrapped up last week, Brent. Now it's time to turn our attention to the Paralympics.
Yeah, and a strong local contingent, too. Here we've got Mark Idison of the Ilderton Curling Club. He's skipping for Canada's wheelchair curling team in Italy. As for hockey, Tyler McGregor of Forest, James Dunn of Wallacestown, both once again representing Canada. A huge matchup tonight for Team Jaden King at the Briar. The rink out of Tilsonburg Curling Club takes on Quebec in tonight's draw. And at 3-3, Team King needs a win over Quebec to keep their playoff hopes alive.
And this is a big week for high school sports. Championships on the line.
Yeah, let's start on the mat with high school wrestling, where Saunders wrestler Thomas Fauner came up just 1 point short in the OFSA final. Hey, he's bringing a silver medal back to London, though. And now to the rink, where the city crowned AAA hockey champs yesterday. Boys AAA final, STA trailing Oak Ridge in the game 1-0, but leading the series. That's when Pace Nesbitt on the doorstep ties the game heading into the third. Then it's Nesbitt again coming across in the slot with the go-ahead goal just a minute into the final frame. Hey, that would hold up as the winner. STA wins the London City final. They're off to Wausau next Tuesday. And as for the girls, Medway up 1-0 on STA. Nice little rebound off the boards and in for Claire Purdy on the ricochet. 1-0 Cowgirls. Then just 5 seconds left in the second period. What a move right there by Tristan Larocque. Buries the winner off the post and in. It's a 3-1 victory for Medway. That gives them the TV Raw title and a top seed at next week's Wausau in Stratford. And to the hardwood, I have to say this was one of the best sporting events I've seen in a while. An historic win for STA volleyball. AAA girls volleyball final this week. It was a matchup of 2 of the best players in Canada. Anya Majir of STA, Anna Stojanovic of Oak Ridge. And this matchup lived up to the billing. These teams were back and forth with the top players dominating. It would go 5 sets with the Flames eventually pulling off the upset, qualifying for OFSA for the first time in the 35-year history of the school.
It was so thrilling, honestly. We've been working really hard, putting in work. It's really deserved. And Oak Ridge, what a great match. It honestly feels like college, university volleyball.
It was such a thrill, adrenaline rush and everything. It's such an experience, one that you'll remember forever. I find that STA and Oak Ridge were very equal teams, so it was a battle of who played and brought it.
Just amazing volleyball, you can't beat it. We played so well and I'm proud of everybody.
Finally, Brent, the OFSA basketball championships are coming to London next week. It's an event London hasn't hosted in a while.
Yeah, in fact, it's been 15 years, Carlyle, since the Beale Raiders hosted the tournament way back in 2011. And back then, there was a future NBA star here at that time, Andrew Wiggins. But don't think that's in the cards this time, although London does have a great shot at reaching the podium. The best high school basketball teams in the province are coming to the Forest City.
It's an incredible experience, have our own school, our own community here. The whole of London will come when OFSA comes around.
Reigning OFSA silver medalist Mother Teresa is hosting the tournament next Monday to Wednesday, with games also being played at Fanshawe College. The City of London will see hundreds of thousands of dollars in economic impact.
About 2,000 visitors are going to visit the city, so we've done well in terms of connecting with local sponsors and companies. So we're looking forward to highlighting the city, and then we're going to let our play on the court showcase the city.
The WASA champion Spartans should be a top seed at provincials.
Our boys have been working hard, like you said. Last year coming up short in that silver medal game. And I think our roster just as deep as we were last year.
They won multiple tournaments this year and knocked off a strong Saunders team to win the city final.
Our team chemistry, our communication, our defense, our offense. We have people who know how to rebound. We have people who know how to shoot properly. Everyone knows the role on the team. No one tries to be one more than the other.
Jackson McGilvery joked he doesn't remember the last time London hosted OFSA. That's because he was just 2 years old. In 2011, Beal lost in the quarterfinals in a tournament which featured NBA star Andrew Wiggins, whose Vaughan team won the gold.
How does it feel to be a Quad A champ?
It feels good. First time, great time doing it.
After losing in last year's championship in Kingston, the hosts want that feeling of cutting down the nets.
We want to win it all this year. We think that we're better than every team. Sure, we've had a couple downs with Cathedral and a little bit of a battle with Saunders, but we feel like we can push through and come out on top.
I think Saunders is on the verge as well, so I think if things shape up, our boys play well, we should be hopefully in that medal game.
Brent Lale, CTV News.
And Rita's on the desk with me now. Just a gorgeous day here with some lovely temperatures, lots of sunshine. Unfortunately, it does sound like there is a shift on the way, some rain in the forecast.
Certainly. It was beautiful, lots of sunshine, but we do have a good amount of rainfall at Carlyle, and as a result, we have a flood outlook bulletin that was issued by the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority. It is going to be in place until March 10th, and this is, of course, due to all that melting snow and the rising temperatures. We're expecting to hit double-digit daytime highs this weekend. So do use extreme caution near all waterways. Remember not to drive through flooded roadways. And this will be in place until at least March 10th. So elevated waterways into next week. Our high today, 9 degrees, well above what's normal this time of year. Overnight low, we did drop down to -4. Record, that was back in 1966, 15 degrees. Record low, -23 in 1950. Our sunset tonight at 6:18. And as we head into tonight, we do have beautiful clear conditions. Just very comfortable to be outdoors walking. We will see conditions change as we head into the night, and that's all thanks to this big weather system sitting stateside. Now it is to the south of us. As it lifts, it will usher in warmer temperatures into Thursday and Friday, and as it moves through, we're in for morning drizzle and then more widespread rainfall in the afternoon. Let's watch how that plays out on the forecast model. So overnight tonight, cloud cover. Heading into Thursday morning, the first round of rain pushes in, and along the northern shores of Lake Erie, we'll have a bit of mixed precipitation early Thursday morning. The rest of us light drizzle. Heading into the afternoon, though, the second round, more widespread rainfall, heavy at times. That's that yellow, indicating some non-severe thunderstorm activity possible between 3 and about 8 p.m. Then it moves out, and then we have another system coming in for the weekend. This one will move through late day Friday into Saturday. For the most part, Friday, we're expecting cloud cover. This evening, again, clear conditions, beautiful, but those clouds quickly roll in overnight, and that drizzle will be there early Thursday morning. Thank you, Ellen, for this beautiful photo, and it is certainly starting to feel like spring with our temperatures today and the rainfall in the forecast. Tomorrow, our anticipated daytime high 5 degrees. The rain again becoming more widespread and impactful in the afternoon with the winds picking up as well. We're expecting them to start gusting anywhere between 30 to 40 kilometers per hour out of the east late day tomorrow. Again, Friday, 11 degrees, and if you thought that's warm, check out Saturday, 17 degrees. That's our daytime high. Light rainfall in store Saturday with that secondary system, but Sunday looks like a beauty. 12 degrees, mix of sun and cloud. Again, this is above what's normal for us this time of year. We hold on to that Monday and Tuesday. And then Wednesday, the high 8 degrees will actually be reached early in the morning. Our temperatures are expected to tumble back down to reality, which will be -4 overnight Wednesday into Thursday. So these temperatures, these double-digit daytime highs, are short-lived. Definitely a taste of spring right across the board. Midwestern Ontario, same thing goes. You'll have a little bit of rainfall Thursday, mostly dry Friday, warm on Saturday and Sunday. Sunday, the drier and much more comfortable day of the two this weekend. Sunday, heading into Monday, we hold on to that warmth, 12 degrees. Great way to start next week, Carlyle. But then again, keep in mind we will cool back down to reality Wednesday with a daytime high of 8 and then dropping down to that -8 throughout the day Wednesday.
Thanks very much, Rita. Still ahead, fed up with fraud, the frequency and the frustration for Canadians trying to identify digital scams.
Pure Country 93 wants to send you to Sandals South Coast in Jamaica. We're giving away an all-inclusive Caribbean vacation for 2 every weekday. Listen for your chance to win. Pure Country Passport with Sandals Resorts. Get closer to the Caribbean.
We have breaking news on the trade war front. A judge with the U.S. Court of International Trade has ordered refunds for companies that paid tariffs that were struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court. That covered President Donald Trump's so-called Liberation Day and fentanyl-related tariffs last month. Under the American Constitution, tariffs are the jurisdiction of Congress, not the president. Fraud experts are warning Canadians to be extra cautious, saying text scams and emails are getting harder to spot as artificial intelligence becomes a more prominent fraud tool. With more, here's Pat Foran.
Many of us are bombarded with fake texts, emails, and phone calls on a daily basis. RBC conducted a survey and found that 81% of Canadians feel there is a new scam to watch out for almost every week, and 83% said it's safest to assume any unexpected text, email, or call is a scam. Equifax Canada has its own survey and says 67% of Canadians worry about identity theft, 64% impersonation and phishing scams, 59% digital payment scams, and 46% investment and romance fraud. Scams used to be much easier to spot, and now many worry they could accidentally get conned.
The fraudsters are so good and so sophisticated that absolutely anybody could fall victim to these traps.
AI is also being used to create fake legal documents such as pay stubs, insurance forms, and driver's licenses that look like the real thing.
With the advent of artificial intelligence, we have seen more and more people fall victim to this than would have in the past.
The Equifax survey also found 68% feel banks should implement stronger security measures to protect accounts, and 59% support mandatory education in schools and public awareness campaigns.
People are tired of getting all these messages and all these phone calls relating to scams. And I think what it's doing is it's slowly wearing people down.
The Credit Counseling Society says there is a real danger if people let their guard down and give out personal information, it can lead to identity theft. And there's no guarantee if you get scammed that you'll get your money back.
Really be cautious about ever giving any personal information, dates of birth, social insurance numbers. Any little bit of information can lead you down a road to trouble.
The Canadian Anti-Scam Coalition is trying to raise awareness to help Canadians recognize fraud. Stop and think, check to see if it's legitimate. If you're not sure, ask family and friends, and talk and share details about scams to protect others. Taking extra time could save you a financial burden. Pat Foran, CTV News.
Canadian intelligence agents are warning about possible cyber attacks, likely retaliatory measures taken by Iran. According to the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity, pro-Iran hacktivists will likely view Canada as a target because of Canada's public support for the U.S. and Israeli military operations. However, there are no confirmed attacks at this point. Canadian retailer Roots is undertaking a strategic review, which could lead to the company's eventual sale. According to officials with the apparel brand, they're analyzing options, attempting to boost value for shareholders. Their first location opened in Toronto back in 1973. They now have more than 200 stores across Canada and Asia. Canada's main stock index was up, regaining some of yesterday's losses. The TSX gained 158 points. In New York, the Dow added 238, the Nasdaq up 291. The Canadian dollar rose 1/10 cent today. On commodity markets, gold gained $11 an ounce and oil added a dime a barrel. Still to come, rethinking standardized testing, a provincial government review searching for better outcomes for students. Welcome back. A large protest today outside the Ontario legislature led by students opposed to the government's planned changes for financial assistance. With more on their message to the decision makers inside the legislature, here's Siobhan Morris.
Hundreds of people jammed onto the lawn of the Ontario legislature, angry and worried about changes the Ford government is making to OSAP.
I don't think he understands that we need this money to be able to continue our education.
Students streamed in from campuses near and far.
There's a group of us here from Chang University. We got on a bus today and we're all here today from Peterborough. We're here for this.
The government's reducing the number of grants available through OSAP, putting a greater emphasis on loans that need to be paid back.
If these don't get reversed, I'm going to have to start off my education, my career in adulthood, and thousands of dollars of debt.
A lot more debt, a lot less ability to take classes. Everything costs money.
It puts those studying for in-demand jobs like early childhood education in limbo.
I want to go back. I hope I can. It is a big decision and it will affect my entire future.
The Minister of Colleges and Universities says the changes are meant to rebalance a system that's become unsustainable. Students will still be able to get help with OSAP.
They're just going to make a little bit of a bigger investment into their future career earnings, but that will pay off tenfold once they graduate and go into their career choices.
It's the scale of that change that's unsettled students.
If he wants to make people not riot, he can, at the very least, make it a gradual change, but even that's not enough.
Hours later, some demonstrators clashed with police just outside Queen's Park. This student got caught up in it.
I turn back around, I'm looking at this guy, and he shoves me out of nowhere. He breaks my headphones here, rips me right through to my jacket.
Toronto police say they arrested 2 people. A statue of George Brown was also defaced with spray paint and markers. Opposition leaders say the turnout here today shows just how deep the worry around OSAP has become. They're planning to make their own noise when the legislature resumes in a few weeks.
Well, we're going to ask them to reverse the cuts on OSAP. We may go further than that. We're working on something right now.
The thing I know about Doug Ford is he tends to see the light when he feels the heat.
Heat students are promising to keep turning up. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Meanwhile, the provincial government has announced a review of EQAO testing. Provincial officials say they're creating an advisory body looking into the standardized testing model and how student outcomes could be improved. EQAO results released in December showed half of grade 6 students and 42% of grade 9 students were not meeting provincial standards in math. The Education Minister released a statement which reads in part, student achievement must always come first in Ontario's education system. Our government will continue using every tool available to keep Ontario's education system focused on accountability and a back-to-basics approach, supporting student achievement so students can reach their full potential and be prepared for good-paying, rewarding careers. The Bank of Canada's governor says the U.S.-Israeli attacks on Iran have increased volatility for financial and energy markets. He says the energy price shock will have a particularly significant impact on countries importing oil and natural gas. He also says markets don't capture the human cost of these conflicts, and their consequences will be felt beyond stock values and commodity prices.
Tonight's weather snapshot sent in from our viewer Lori. A beautiful morning sunrise. Clouds increase overnight. Morning drizzle in store for Thursday with more widespread rainfall Thursday afternoon, the high 5 tomorrow. With the warmth building and well above normal temperatures, we're expecting a significant melt. As a result, the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority has issued a bulletin reminding the public to use extra caution and avoid waterways and flooded areas.
The federal government has now received a pair of competing bids to build Canada's next generation of submarines. With more on the contenders and how they will be judged, here's Judy Trin.
Over the next decade, Canada will invest $470 billion in the defense sector.
It is not accurate to separate economic growth from military investments.
The biggest purchase the government will make, 12 submarines. South Korea's Hanwha and Germany's TKMS have submitted their bids. Analysts say the race is tight.
We've really set it up with the possibility of it being a choice the country makes, not just about buying the military piece of equipment, but about establishing a much tighter relationship with one of our two key allies.
Here's how the bids will be evaluated. The submarine's capabilities will be weighted at 20%. The plan to maintain the fleet weighted at 50%. The cost of the boat and the consideration of strategic partnerships will be evenly considered.
We've signed a number of MOUs here in Canada, well over 20 now. The economic offsets associated with that, we've calculated around 25,000 jobs annually between now and 2044.
Both Hanwha and TKMS have partnered with about 24 Canadian companies and research institutes. These partners will make components and weapons for the subs. Several companies have signed deals with both the Germans and the South Koreans.
They cannot predict who will win. I have said that, their astrologers aren't good enough, and therefore they cannot pick sides. They cannot afford to pick sides. And the good news is that they're able to sign these agreements with both Hanwha and with TKMS.
TKMS makes 70% of the submarines for NATO, while Hanwha could open doors for its Canadian partners in the Indo-Pacific.
Multiple sources tell CTV News that the federal government will choose the winning submarine bid by June, before Parliament rises for the summer. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
The U.S. Treasury Secretary says the new 15% global tariff rate will likely go into effect by the end of this week. President Donald Trump announced that measure in response to last month's U.S. Supreme Court ruling, which struck down the legal justification for much of his tariffs. These global tariffs mostly don't affect Canada, as they exempt goods under the current free trade agreement. Spain's prime minister is doubling down on his condemnation of the American and Israeli attacks on Iran, warning the conflict risks playing Russian roulette with millions of lives.
Nosotros repudiamos al régimen de Irán.
The Spanish leader says this is how humanity's great disasters start. Spain and the U.S. are NATO allies, but tensions have spiked there after Spanish authorities banned American aircraft from using naval and air bases in southern Spain for their offensive. He says Spain will not be complicit out of fear of retaliation, adding the world's problems cannot be solved with bombs. American pharmaceutical giant Moderna has agreed to pay $2.25 billion to settle a patent dispute over its COVID-19 vaccine. The deal resolves all legal actions accusing Moderna of using a vaccine delivery technology owned by two other companies without permission. Multiple other similar patent lawsuits have been filed against Pfizer and several other drug makers.
London's top stories.
We have breaking news tonight out of Ottawa. The latest in the
breaking news alerts.
I'm tracking an area of severe weather. It'll start.
And watch live.
A development now to a story from City Hall we brought you.
Download the CTV News app.
Welcome back. Lottery officials say a $75 million winning ticket from last night's draw was sold in Toronto. According to OLG, there was only one winning ticket for the grand prize, and two max million prizes were also won in last night's draw. One of those was sold online. The other was also sold in Toronto. And finally tonight, the story of an American man who made his home in BC. Adam Sawatsky has more on why the Canadian life appealed so much he decided to stay.
Sitting in the morning sun. Ever since DJ Jackson started singing as a kid with his friends,
but we'd be on the corner just humming and, moving and grooving.
He's had 3 big dreams.
All I wanted to be was a cowboy, a singer, and a fireman.
But he never would be, DJ was told while growing up in the southern states, because of the color of his skin. Look like nothing's gonna come my way. But DJ was determined. Got a job sweeping floors to pay for a firefighting course, and did so well, the department had to hire him as a trainee.
They treated me bad. They called me all kinds of names and stuff, but I thought, nobody's going to ever break me.
Eventually, the prejudiced people left, and DJ earned a full-time position, which led to an historic headline in the local paper.
And I fell in love with it, man. I thought, this is it. This is my life.
But that was just one dream realized.
I left my home in Washington.
During a vacation in Vancouver, DJ experienced so many random acts of kindness, he called his mom.
And guess what? Nobody called me today or shot at me. And she said, what? I said, and guess what, Mama? I'm staying.
Eventually, DJ did move to Canada permanently, where he achieved his other dreams of becoming a cowboy for a bit and touring as a singer for even longer.
I'm sitting on the dock of a bay.
But DJ wasn't into wasting time and started pursuing a 4th dream.
Christopher Reeves.
DJ's walls are filled with photos from the almost 180 movie and TV shows he's appeared in, along with many of the major stars he's worked with, from Adam Sandler to John Travolta.
My pride and joy. I spent 3 days with the champ, Muhammad Ali, and he taught me strength.
But if you ask Joshua who inspired him to never give up on his dreams,
Mother,
he'll point to a picture of his mom.
She said, you just be you and treat everybody the same, and your day will come.
Because if you can keep singing through the low notes of life, just imagine how wonderful it will feel when you nail every single high one. Still got it. Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Burnaby.
That's it for us. Thanks for watching. For your latest local headlines, you can always head to our website. I'm back tonight with your late news at 11. Bye for now.